Play.
Hello, guys. I see that already there has been some action in the chat. Indeed, there are 2 votes in the poll. Will Nurlan join today's chat? I wonder if any of these votes are from Nurlan. I would assume that one might be from John and the other from Sean, who has already appeared in our live stream, in our chat more so, I guess. And yeah, we're going to be chatting about the match between Alexander Zverev and Roman Safiullin. This is the last, basically the last main tour match of the day, since on the women's we have already finished it off, and also we have already finished it off on the men's as well. Besides this one, I just realized that I don't need my earphones for this, so I'm doing this by myself, which always is a hilarious realization, especially when you do it after like 30 or 40 minutes. But today I'm quicker with that, so kudos to me. Anyhow, Alexander Zverev, Roman Safiullin, why is this interesting at all? Because maybe on paper, if you were like asleep for the last 2 months, basically, 3 months, let's say, then maybe it doesn't. But it could be, Roman Safiullin made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, obviously. And recently, he also followed it up with a final appearance in Chengdu. And guess who he lost to there at that ATP 250? Alexander Zverev in the final. It was a tight free set match. The conditions should be nice for him. Zverev has had a couple of long weeks. Safiullin crushed Andy Murray in the opening round. Zverev, of course, playing his first Shanghai match since 2019 when he made the final and lost to Daniel Medvedev, beating Roger Federer along the way, for example. And yeah, it seems like Safiullin might have everything, every option possible to push Zverev again. We'll see if he's going to beat him. Recently it's been very tough to beat Zverev since Hamburg, which he won. I guess he's just lost to Davidovich Fokina and to Medvedev. So, Djokovic, of course, as well, and Alcaraz. And I meant Davidovich Fokina outside of the best 3 players in the world, basically. So, and that was a blowout from Davidovich Fokina. But still, recently he has been on fire. Cincinnati deep run, US Open deep run, Chengdu title, and then, of course, also in Beijing last week, he made the semis. Roman Safiullin kicks off the match with his serve, and he actually starts it with an ace. Safiullin years ago, as you guys maybe remember, was the Australian Open Junior Champion. 2015 would be my guess off the top of my head. And yeah, for years he has sort of struggled to even maybe make it full time on the challenger level. I think he still has. Well, this year he got his second title, I think, in Koblenz. No, actually, no. Last year it was when he got his second title. I think last year he got 2 titles, and then this year 1. But until 2022, he only had 1 challenger title, and eventually found the way to the top 100, and is surviving there. He is surviving there, I guess, much more efficiently, effectively than most thought. So at least until Wimbledon next year, right? He has 360 points ensured on his ranking, and I mean the Chengdu final 150 as well. It looks like Roman Safiullin could stay around that top 50 range for a while, at least until Wimbledon next year. So we're gonna see how he handles himself there. These courts are naturally very fast. I think they're sort of, they should be suiting what Safiullin is trying to do on the court. At the same time, of course, they're also nice for Zverev, who made the final here 4 years ago, as I said. I guess Zverev is, basically outside of grass, he has had runs everywhere, and even on grass, he was in the Halle final twice. But Safiullin probably more oriented towards conditions like this, and we just see a beautiful +1 backhand winner, very sharp angle. I don't know if it had to be that sharp, but so far just dominating points with his serve. Safiullin is, he's 40-30 up only in this game, but he's getting a lot of advantage out of his serve, and then finishing points very, very early. When there's going to be a changeover, we're going to talk about some other results from Shanghai today. If you guys have anything, about WTA or about whatever really Chargers ITFs, we can also talk about that. Shanghai, of course, as well. Now it's going to be a second serve though from Safiullin, so we're going to see how he handles that. And actually, he mistimes his forehand +1, was trying to take it very early, not give up ground, and it doesn't make it over the net. So first deuce of the match. Some of the matches that we've been seeing in Shanghai this week have had very little deuces. Here we already have one at the very beginning, but again, the serve comes in very handy. It saves Safiullin from having to face a breakpoint by, just giving him the point right away with this unreturned serve down the tee. Yeah, and another good +1 play. Serves at the body of Zverev, gets a shorter ball, slams the forehand, and forces the error. So Safiullin one love. Oh, Heineken is sponsoring this event so much, and there's like a fridge. Well, it's not a fridge, I guess. It's a container. But I was about to ask, okay, is Safiullin gonna drink a Heineken here now? Because he comes to his bench, he opens a box that says Heineken on it, and that would have been pretty hilarious. I don't know if that's actually against the rules. I don't think so, right? I don't think players do it. That is, but probably no one testing them in terms of their alcohol usage pre-match or post-match. Anyway, Alexander Zverev to serve. We'll see if his delivery is going to be giving him as much advantage as it has been so far for Safiullin. First point certainly looked like it, although that's a bit of a weird reaction from Zverev. He plays his forehand down the line very precisely, and then maybe he's a little slow in going to the net. Safiullin's low dipping slice hurts him, and he tries to play a half volley of his feet, which doesn't make it over the net. Definitely lost his mind for a moment there, I guess, with the many different options that he could have had, that he could have done from that position. Now Safiullin gets another decent return in, so already threatening here if he can win this point. He is in the lead. He has hit a few nice forehands. Back and cross court, he goes to the net and he finishes it off in style as well. Great start to the match from the Russian, 100%. And love 30 in Zverev's first service game, so the back and cross was really excellent, and honestly the volley as well. The most recent match that I did, I think, on Talking Tennis was Sinner against Medvedev, so it's a bit of a relief to see a volley like this, because even though Sinner, of course, used net play to his advantage in that match, he clearly, like, in terms of volleying technique and like just overall comfort level at the net, I mean, he's still a little awkward there. So it's nice to see someone who just taps it over the net with such grace. But of course, I've seen some good volleying since Vatanuki yesterday, for example. Second serve from Zverev and Safiullin attacks it. Okay, this is going to stay on his side of the net. That's good for Zverev. Had this backhand return at Zverev's feet, but the German handled it, and then Safiullin didn't really take advantage. I think he was not quick enough to return to his, middle of the court position after that return. Perhaps did not expect Zverev to get it back with some okay depth. But again, the return is in play, and we'll see what Zverev can do with this. Had an opportunity in this point and wasn't really willing to go for his forehand. So Safiullin's still surviving. He gives him this sort of a sharp angle where Zverev could have gone down the line with the forehand. He tried, but he actually netted it. But I think it was still tentative. Like it wasn't a full on down the line. It was, a less risky shot than that. And the sort of the theme of this rally was Zverev getting a few forehand openings and just not taking advantage of them. That can happen, of course, with the German. He has trust issues when it comes to his forehand, 100%. Anyway, 1540, two breakpoints already, and it's also going to be a second serve, so we know what Safiullin is going to do: step into the court, try to rip it at Zverev's feet, possibly. Or maybe he likes some other angle this time. Maybe he's going to get his forehand as well. He actually is, and he misses the ball completely. But I think it was also a pretty strong serve from Zverev. I think around 170, if I see it correctly. Probably on the line as well. Yeah, just missed the ball completely, whiffed. Interesting. So one more breakpoint for Zverev to serve, to save, of course. The return is back again, and Safiullin might have a shot in this rally. They're back to neutral. Beautiful forehand from Safiullin, and finishes it off at the net in style as well. This is a really strong start indeed. The backhand return I really enjoyed. It was like a bit of a block with the two-hander, and had a nice angle on it. It pulled Zverev wide. Zverev got it back to neutral though, but then just was again very tentative, played a regular shot down the middle of the court, and Safiullin had none of it, just slams the inside out forehand, goes to the net. Good put away as well. 2-love up. As good a start as the Russian was really hoping for. And I mean, often on these Shanghai courts, one break can mean the set. That's what he'll be hoping for right now. And he keeps playing well, uses the advantage that the serve gave him, slams the inside in forehand, and then the backhand finish it off. Also, like good, not risking all that much on this backhand, knowing that he can go like 2 meters from the line and it's still going to be fine. Nothing at that point that Zverev could do. Another really good serve. He should have this point indeed. +1 clean, clean, clean keel of the forehand. Yeah, so far when the Safiullin serve is in, there's not much that Zverev can do. Whereas Safiullin was returning really well in the first game of the match that came on Zverev's serve. 7 winners to Zverev's 1 so far. I don't really even remember what the winner was from the German. Was there an ace? I don't remember. I don't think so. Anyway, that's also nice from Safiullin. Another big serve, giving him this very short ball from Zverev, and he didn't even have to play it. He actually just sort of semi drop shots it, and it's enough. Just the advantage of momentum, of timing that he had in this rally was way more than enough. So 3 game points to go 3-love up. Big serve, and Zverev will not get it back. Great rhythm on serve so far from Safiullin, and just really, really clean on these points. Let's see if his big time returning is also going to continue, because the opening game was quite stunning from him for sure. Besides that whiff on the forehand, and yeah, so far Safiullin has made 9 first serves, won them all, and 3 times, the only 3 times that he didn't make his first serve, he always lost the point. And Zverev's winner was an ace. So is Safiullin the most improved player in the last year? I wonder who is going to win. I wonder who is going to win that award when the ATP does their awards at the end of the year. I was thinking of Arnaldi, but you're right that Safiullin is giving him a run for his money. I wonder if there are any other possible selections. I mean, Shelton, I don't think so. I mean, he was more or less as good as he is right now at the end of the year, last year, it seems. Nico Jari as well. I would like to see him there. Maybe Greek Sport, Struff as well. But maybe that's like a comeback player of the year nomination. Who knows? There's definitely a ton of them, but I would say Safiullin, Arnaldi, they are. Oh, Chris Eubanks as well, right? Chris Eubanks could be there, I think. So there's a lot of good contenders. I wonder who's going to be nominated, but um, we'll see. But Safiullin could be there, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wimbledon quarters, especially if he was to do anything here in Shanghai, that would be good. Is it going to be the first time for Coco to be favored against Iga? She's actually not. Iga is still the bookie's favorite. Is that right? I don't really know. Like for me, I kind of view it as a 50-50. I think lots of the matchup advantage that was there in the past for Świątek doesn't really exist anymore. There's still, a number of issues that Goff can have with her forehand, obviously. But the way that she can return Świątek's second serve is virtually the same as as Świątek can return hers. There's sometimes even offensive firepower of that forehand now. So that was always, I guess, a big deal. That when they were trading forehands, there was no danger coming from Goff's side. The defense, the speed, the athleticism, it seems like it's gotten even better. So I think for me, it's definitely a bit of an unclear semifinal, but you know, technically speaking, Świątek is still favored by the market, by the bookmakers, by the general public. I don't know what Runa has said today after the match against Nakashima, but we'll see. Hot take: court speed and its effect on the fate of the matches are overrated. I actually think they are completely underrated. I think there are a billion of different matchups where it's really the conditions that very often decide the outcome of the match. Obviously, there's still other factors. I mean, these are tennis players. They come onto the court and basically they have to play out the match, right? They have to win the points. Every single point can go both ways, and I think that also people forget about sometimes. But in general, I feel like a lot of the time, the level of players ranked between, let's say, 1 and 200, it's so similar most of the time that actually conditions are very often the thing that determines the score for me. Obviously, you could probably find a lot of examples. It's never going to be 100%. It's never going to be exact science. It's just sports. I mean, that's why we like watching it, right? But I would say that is actually underrated in my opinion. I mean, if Nurlan is taking a bath and the stream is gonna be on, okay, because I was afraid that he was gonna miss me reading out his comments and then he was gonna get me into some trouble when he's back. Yeah, probably put the smartphone laptop a little far away from the bath. I actually used my phone a little bit in the bath today as well, but just for a moment. Usually don't do that. I mean, I'm simply afraid of getting it wet. Another couple of good returns from Safiullin. No, I mean Carlos is not going to win a most improved player of the year. No, and I don't think Sinner will be in the conversation either. I think they were far too good, and I think usually they try to go for something else. Let me actually see like who won most improved player of the year over the years. Um, I mean Alcaraz won it last year. Obviously, he's not winning, but yeah. Karatsev 2021, Rublev 2020, Berrettini 2019, Tsitsipas 2018. Yeah, I think going for Sinner um or Alcaraz would not really fit here. But yeah, Agassi won it twice, interestingly. And that was once when he came back, and also Djokovic won it twice in a row. That's pretty wild. There was also a comment here. Who should I live bet on? I'm not gonna help with that. Don't want to be responsible for anyone's money, not even mine. Yeah, I do think that Sinner's improvement has been a bit too gradual for that. That's what I would say. Yeah, maybe Struff is gonna win comeback of the year. I don't know who else is there who came back. Anyway, Zverev won his first game of the match. Some very quick points on serve, but Safiullin again demonstrated that he is putting him in trouble. Let's see if his expertise over short points on his own delivery is going to continue, and so far it certainly has with this forehand inside out. Another winner, yet another winner, I have to say, because he is just blasting like three or four of them in every game, it seems, especially on serve, of course. Ooh, that would have been a cool pass from Zverev if he found it, but he doesn't find the line with this banana forehand. So it's Ferdilov, Safiullin, another great first serve, and then just good plus one shot, goes to the net, end of the point. And so far, Zverev cannot find a response to this. I mean, obviously, a response to it would be Safiullin maybe not finding as many first serves, or Zverev starting to read it better. But so far, he has not been able to do that. That's a decent return, though. Safiullin makes the plus one error, but maybe at 30 love, it's not gonna matter. This is, I think, definitely the first point that Safiullin loses on first serve. Oh, and I was supposed to talk about some other matches in Shanghai, but that's gonna be later. Um, how is Zverev losing? Jeter is asking. I mean, Safiullin played an excellent game at one love on return. He was just, I mean, getting every single return back in play. Zverev maybe a little bit too tentative on his forehand when he had openings down the line, or just in general was in control of the rally and then got it. I'm just gave it back to Safiullin. But for the most part, I mean, the Russian is also excellent on his serve so far. Great first deliveries and then just finishes off the point in two or three shots. And a good example of that we've seen just now. Plus one forehand. He actually had to cover the net very well here on this backhand pass from Zverev, but great touch. Lovely skill, really. Again, I do appreciate that I'm commentating on a match with someone who is volleying this well after Sinner Medvedev. And again, that's not to say that the net play didn't win Sinner the match. It sort of did, but the classic volleying technique of Safiullin is more enjoyable for me. But when he doesn't get the first serve in, Zverev is there with the big response, and he gets it back to 30-40, but still one more game point for Safiullin to get a very healthy lead. And as we said earlier on these Shanghai courts, one break is often what decides the set. Maybe sometimes even the match. I mean, you could probably argue that against with, for example, Hurkacz Kokinakis today, right? One break, one mini break in the tie break, and that was it. But that's obviously maybe an even more serve-oriented matchup than Safiullin Zverev. It's going to be another second serve from the Russian though, so now he needs to demonstrate that he can also win points when the serve is not helping him out. That was barely in. I wonder which shot was called out. Yeah, it was the Zverev return, because both the Safiullin serve and the Zverev return were very close to the line. I think Safiullin seems very confident that it was out. Zverev was thinking of challenging, but are we gonna have that challenge? I don't even think so. I think he probably cancelled it at this point. So 4-1 up. Well, 4-1, so feeling excellent chance to just take this set to the end. Zverev recently, it has to be said, has been winning lots of matches from a set down, right? I mean, his Beijing campaigns and his Chengdu campaign, they were basically all about that. I mean, he did that against Schwartzman and Davidovich Fokina in Beijing, and he also did that against Roman Safiullin and Miomir Kecmanovic in Chengdu. Generally speaking, out of his last 7 wins, actually we can even take it to the Sinner win at the U.S. Open. Out of his last 9 wins, sorry, 8 wins, 7 have come in deciding sets. Yeah, the last straight sets win that he had was actually against Dimitrov in Chengdu and also against Vukic at the U.S. Open. So not a lot of straight set winning recently, but it is winning though, and he is back to where like number 9 in the official rankings, but in the ATP race he is actually a lot. His situation is even better. He is 7th and very close to 5th place. So it's looking great for Zverev, especially considering until Roland Garros 2024 he doesn't have much to defend. Yeah, and of course, as I said, this is the last match in Shanghai for the day. Have we had some stunning results? I mean, Maroshan beating the Minor, that was pretty huge, and just another insane performance from Fabi. As we've said many times, it's going to be mostly about whether he can pull it off on a regular basis, like whether he can play like this 5-6 matches in a row, rather than whether he can play like this at all. Because I mean, he is capable of beating anyone on his day with that sort of a style. Nakashima Rune 6-love 6-2. That I did not see a ball from that match, but we have to say that, that's a shocking scoreline, even with Holger recently struggling with some back issues. They showed me some sort of a stat on my screen where most of the tour is about 23%, like on 23% of the points they are in attack, whereas Safiullin so far in this first set is 42% of the points he is attacking. And that's probably gonna drop a bit, but it's not gonna drop to 23% unless he wants to win the match, basically. He has to keep doing what he's doing, right? And keep serving well and just take this set to the end, and then he will be in good position. That's probably out. Zverev is gonna go check the mark, even though we are on hard courts, and I don't think he's gonna challenge it. Rightfully so, because this was definitely out. Safiullin might get him to 30 all if he finds another cracking second serve return. He is already inside the baseline waiting for Zverev to put maybe it a little bit too short. Okay, that was a good reaction, but from both guys. But then Zverev again, maybe a little too tentative with the forehand. It's loopy cross court, and Safiullin slams his own forehand down the line. Definitely not getting the sort of depth, the sort of pop, the sort of bite that he wants on that forehand so far. Zverev, that has been an issue for him over his career for sure. That lack of trust, lack of confidence in this shot. And so far, Safiullin is really abusing it in style. But the serve is there to the rescue, and Zverev will have a game put. He will have to take it on the second serve, though, so Safiullin will be ready. Yeah, stepping inside the baseline. Is it going to be another kicker to the backhand, which Safiullin just handled pretty well? I think maybe he's going to try to mix it up a little bit. He goes at the body and gets a short response. He should win the point, but he can't. And that's actually quite interesting. I do not really understand what happened there because Zverev seemed to have it, seemed to have this pass from Safiullin covered, and then he didn't. So I'm assuming he must have thought that wasn't gonna go over the net, but it did. But yeah, it seemed like he did everything right here. Yeah, and then just never even stretched towards that volley. And looking at his reaction, I'm assuming that he just didn't think it was gonna make it over the net. So we're back to deuce. Think that's out. I mean, Safiullin is gonna challenge. I would agree with him. I would assume that this very first serve was out, but we will see. If it was in, then just barely, and it is out indeed. So second serve for the German. He is winning this point though with a Safiullin error. Tough times so far for Zverev in this match, but yeah, even if Safiullin wins the first set, then Zverev is gonna serve first, and it doesn't have to be like that it doesn't have to be like that in another set, especially as Zverev seems to be serving a bit better right now. This ace down the tee gives him the second game of the match. So 4-2 up Safiullin after 28 minutes. Two more holds, but will it be easy to get these two more holds? So far, so good. So far, he's only made like one or two errors in every single service game and got a lot of points done in like two or three shots. So far, he hasn't struggled. I think the serve is out as well, so already some sort of an opportunity for Zverev maybe. Once this match so far, he has blasted the second serve return, and this time he cannot put himself in such a position. I think actually Zverev was thinking that he probably is hitting a pretty aggressive second serve return, and yet Safiullin just takes it very early off the forehand, goes to the net, and again puts it away without any hesitation. Safiullin challenging this serve. I think this one might have been good. I mean, might have clipped the line. I don't know. It's gonna be really close, I think, and it will be an ace if he landed it. And indeed, he has landed it. So both my eye and Safiullin's eye so far have been working really well, since the line umpires have already made two errors like that in basically like 5 or 6 points, and we were right. Me and my buddy Roman, we were right both times. And there's another ace from Safiullin actually. So 40 love. He is absolutely crushing Zverev so far. And yeah, let's see if there's going to be any hesitation when he will have the chance to close it out, because he is 5-2 up. So, even if he loses the next game, he is guaranteed to have a chance at serving this first set out. And so far, this has been a clinic. This has been a phenomenal 30 minutes from Roman Safiullin. Yeah, and I was supposed to maybe mention some other matches. Yeah, Nakashima Runa 6 love 6-2. That's just wild. Felix still struggling. I thought Nishioka was gonna give Rude a bit of a harder time, but after the first set, he like semi-tanked basically. We had Yusu Su beating Musetti as well, which I think opens up the draw for Hurkacz really nicely. Hurkacz and Zhang, I would love to see that fourth round. But of course, they still need to win one more time. Hurkacz against Yusu Su and Zhang against Brandon Nakashima. And yeah, Sebastian Corda wasting no time starting his event. Shelton also with a pretty clean win, which is, I guess, really good for him, even if it was against Munar. This year, other than the Australian Open and the US Open, getting wins even in the early rounds has not been easy for him. So that's a good indicator, I guess, for him. And he is actually the rival who is going to play Shelton or Zverev. So not an easy third round either for Zverev or for Safiullin if they're going to pull it off. This section of the draw I think is really enormously strong. Like you've got Safiullin Mare playing in the opening round, then Safiullin plays Zverev. One of Safiullin Zverev plays Shelton, and then very likely one of them will have to face Yannick Sinner. So that's a bit of a nightmare. And Shelton Safiullin was actually a challenger final last year, right, in Chicago, when I think Ben was maybe like had some chances in the decider. I cannot remember what exactly they were, but he lost 5-7 in the third, And at that point, he was already favored to win that over Safiullin. That was the sort of hype that he was getting. And of course, Safiullin wasn't, yet a Wimbledon quarterfinalist as well. But yeah, that was Safiullin against Shelton last year. Safiullin against, Shelton against Zverev. I don't think that's happened so far, has it? Don't think they really had an opportunity to play against each other so far. Another cracker of a second serve return from Safiullin. Zverev is basically shaking his head and asking the team, "What am I to do?" There's this great clip from Wimbledon some years ago when Andre Agassi was sitting in the royal box and Mikhail Yuzhny was playing. 2012 was playing Roger Federer in the quarters, and at some point he basically asks Agassi, "What am I to do?" And then Agassi just laughs. I would have liked that clip even more if Agassi told him something, but I don't know. Even if it was something like, I have a 3-8 record against this guy. What do you want me to say? I don't think it's 3-8, right? I think it's maybe a little closer. I don't remember. Maybe it's 3-8 or something along these lines. Anyway, what do you want me to say? Or maybe gave him some actual tips. That would have been pretty hilarious as well. And that's basically what Zverev is doing now towards his team. Asking, what am I going to do if this guy is going to keep playing like that? But, a few good serves, and Zverev has a couple of game points. So maybe it's not going to matter after all. Ooh, if this return went in from Safiullin, Zverev would have went off the court. I think he would have retired. But, but of course it doesn't. It was such a ridiculous shot. And yeah, 5-3. Now is crunch time, right? Now is the moment when we test what Safiullin is going to be playing like when it matters. People are talking on my Twitter about like shock defeat for Jack Draper to Lucas Poulemin, Mulleron Le Captif, but he was so tired after yesterday's marathon against Dino Prismic that it's not really a shock defeat. Another big serve from Safiullin. That's pretty ridiculous how well he's playing so far. Wow. That was quite a shot. It's not gonna win Safiullin the point, but that forehand cross court that he just took off the half volley was excellent as well. He eventually wins the point, however, not with this shot, arguably, but that was wicked, really. So confident, I guess, right now, and also so unwilling to give up any ground. This backhand, he's gonna miss time, but it's an error at 40 love. It's probably not going to matter. That's out, so he will have another chance to clinch the set, but on the second serve. and he goes to the net, but Zverev's sliced lob is not gonna make it in. So really, like a perfect set from Safiullin, and Zverev looks very frustrated at the moment. But that was truly flawless. I mean, I'm struggling to really tell you one thing that Safiullin did wrong in this set. There of course were some errors, like I don't know, five of them or something, but they were all from just trying to stay on top of the point, trying to stay on top of the baseline as well. So that's essentially exactly what Safin wants to play against Zverev, and that one return game, of course. 9 unforced errors according to the ATP statisticians, and 17 winners. Zverev hitting just 2 unforced errors, but just one winner of the ground as well, which kind of tells you that besides his serve, it's just Safiullin controlling all of the points. 9 out of 9 at the net. So yeah, that was pretty insane. And now we will see whether he can actually maintain that. Right, that's always the big question in matches like this. Definitely, of the baseline, he's just completely dominating the rallies. We've seen some tentative forehands from Zverev as well. Then Safiullin is there with the punish, like almost instantly. So there is some improvement definitely to be done for Zverev, and he cannot afford to lose his serve at the very beginning of the set again. But yeah, that's essentially what Safiullin wants to play, and then he executed his game to an absolutely maximum standard. I think the optimal standard in the opening set. So yeah, Zverev obviously to begin the second set on his serve, since the first one had an odd number of games, and yeah, this will be crucial. Someone is asking me about Challenger TV getting hacked. What's the gotta ask? I gotta ask what it is about. But anyway, 15-0. Safiullin makes the unforced error of the backhand here. The whole website of the ATP does not seem to be working. Um, did Safiullin make it? I don't think he has. Yeah, just out on this return. So it seems like Zverev should have a safe passage to the opening game of the second set, not falling into the same sort of situation where Zverev, yeah, where he was forced to tried to get himself back into the first set and never really even had an attempt at it. Well, that's crazy that he actually wins this point. It's a bit of a bit of luck involved, I guess, and a bit of lack of lapse of concentration from Safiullin there, because he really should have made that backhand pass. Had the open court, Zverev could have done nothing, but he sends it long. But anyway, that's not the end of the world, obviously, for Safiullin. That was just the 40-15 point. Yeah, we see a graph as well of Safiullin's second serve return hit points, which is rather ridiculous. How um, how far inside the baseline he is standing as well, and also a bit of another graph on how deep he still plays them, despite despite theoretically having not much time on them. But that also comes from Zverev, right? That also comes from the fact that Zverev is mostly just rolling them in, right? He's not exactly the best second server in the world, if that makes sense. Safiullin steps into this backhand cross court. It doesn't really get all that much traction. So far, Zverev is defending well, and that drop shot from Safiullin is never going to be good enough. He hit a few good shots. They were all handled well by Zverev. He counterpunched okay, and then Safiullin, I guess, decided he's had enough. Safiullin decided he has to try to bail out of that rally, and that's what he did. But not in good fashion. That was simply a way too weak of a drop shot attempt. All right, 15:30 down now, Safiullin. So this is basically the first moment of the entire match where he's been on some trouble on his own serve. The question is how he will fight back. He should have this point probably, or not. No, he actually does. But again, very good touch on the volley. I don't think the upper shot was perfect, but he managed to make up for it. Ballsy play, definitely. That we can say for sure. And it actually ends up giving him that reward in terms of getting back to 30-all. We'll see if the serve helps out. This is, as I said, virtually the first moment of the match when Zverev has put Safiullin under any pressure. On the second serve, Zverev's return it should have been better, and Safiullin takes advantage of it by going to the net, but then the passing shot from Zverev clips the net. So Safiullin cannot react in time, and it's not something that we can really blame him for either. There was definitely it was just definitely way too hard. So Zverev gets his first breakpoint of the match with a slice of luck. And now this is the crucial point. Safiullin with a nice inside-out +1 forehand, but it's not enough to make Zverev make the error. However, the next forehand, which was just normal regulation shot, it actually is enough for Zverev to commit the error. So maybe played a great shot there, Safiullin, which didn't give him the point, and now doesn't bother you that Nurlan is thinking about you in the bath? A little, yes, a little, yes, absolutely. Safiullin arguably should have won their final in Chengdu, says Jean. Maybe I actually did not watch that much. I know, more or less what the scoreline was and how how the games went, which you're also talking about, was up a set and a break, but I actually didn't. How's the match going, Damien? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Safiullin just played the perfect set. I don't know if it's going to continue, but in the first game, the 9 games that we've had, he was literally spot on with everything. Whenever Zverev was a little tentative on the forehand, he was right there to take advantage. Very clean at the net, blasting his serve and finishing all the points behind it, behind his first serve at least, with like 2 or 3 shots. Couldn't really have played any better. But right now he had to save his first breakpoint of the match and did well, although Zverev gave him a bit of a cheap error. Not gonna lie. And now he has the chance to go 1-0 in the second set. Again goes to the net. This time it's not perfect though, and Zverev is there to take advantage. This time his timing going to the net, I think, what made it a little tough. Had to play it from below the net and couldn't really produce like a drop volley or something. Had to go longer, and yeah, just wasn't enough to give Zverev any trouble. Yeah, Rybakina Sabalenka, I actually didn't see that one. It's a shame. I wanted to, but it did never. The timing wasn't quite right. Let's say that. But yeah, the Beijing event, of course, has been super exciting, and the semifinals tomorrow look great as well. Perhaps particularly the first one, but the second one as well. Rybakina Samsonova was a semi recently, right? In Montreal, right? Was that Rybakina playing Samsonova? I think so, right? And of course, Goff Świątek. Goff is on a 16-match win streak, and part of it was beating Iga Świątek for the first time. Anyway, Safiullin has another game point. I think that's not enough to give him a time violation, even though the clock ran out. I think he already started his motion. And now Zverev with another cheap forehand error. I think that's too long. He asks his team, but they tell him not to challenge. Or actually, did he? I'm not sure. No, no, he hasn't challenged. Okay, the scoreboard disappeared on my screen, and I wasn't sure, but no, he did not challenge, and that was the right decision because the ball was definitely out. And now it's time for Zverev to serve again, 1-0. So this was the first really pressure moment for Safiullin, not counting, of course, the fact that he had to serve out the set, which he did, undeniably. But this was like the first pressure moment on Safiullin's serve, and he survives with some help from Zverev. That has to be said. But at the same time, at 30-all, he basically won the point, and then Zverev's pass clips the net. So, that's a nasty error from Zverev. Safiullin goes the other way as Zverev tries to play a drive volley +1 and misses it. Pretty accidental return here from Safiullin, and this time Zverev is not careful enough actually on with this forehand opportunity. I don't think it was even an opportunity. I thought that this accidental return from Safiullin was actually good enough to just keep the rally sort of neutral, whereas Zverev thought he can go down the line with it and missed it by quite a missed it by a long distance. So let's see what happens here because it's love 30 now, and Safiullin, what the hell is going on with Zverev's forehand right now? Safiullin just plays a pretty normal short angled forehand, and Zverev throws it out. I mean, the second set certainly has not been as impressive from the Russian, but he is getting points donated to him left and right, really. So this is Safiullin's chance to make up for that Chengdu loss, maybe if he can clinch any one of the next points, and this time drive the match towards the end. Was that a let? I suppose. I think so. One more chance for Zverev, and he's kind of lucky that it was a let, because if this return from Safiullin went in, I think it would have put him in an uncomfortable spot. He plays the return back into the court. We'll see whether he's going to just feed some balls to the Zverev forehand now. No, actually not. He tries to go for an inside in winner. Well, winner, maybe not, but an aggressive inside in forehand himself nets it. But still, two more breakpoints. There is an opportunity there. Two more breakpoints for Safiullin. I think this could be Zverev's more comfortable serving side, though, but, well, sort of unclear, I guess. But yeah, he gets a good out wide serve. Oh, yeah, that's again class from Safiullin. Maybe the forehand approach shot of the +1 shot of the +1 stroke could have been a touch better from Zverev, just could have been, little closer to the line, but Safiullin is there with the backhand on the run pass. So 6-3, 2-1 up, and as Jean mentioned, and a second ago, Safiullin was in Chengdu, a set and a break up against Sasha in their final. So this is Safiullin's moment to make up for it. This is his moment when he can sort of change the course of history. There, that break advantage didn't last for long. He was just 2-0 up and then lost it immediately. So we'll see if he also cannot consolidate in this one. But yeah, so far a pretty sensational performance. Also in the last 3 or 4 minutes, lots of forehand errors from Zverev. The only other Zverev Safiullin meeting that we've had so far was 2021 French Open, where Zverev won in 3 sets. However, it was a fairly tight match, two tie breaks, 2.5 hours. That was the second round of the French Open in 2021. Yes, Safiullin beating Taberner. I remember that because Taberner barely lost games in the qualifying, and everyone thought that he was going to win against Safiullin. And yeah, just even right now, looking at the odds, I mean, Taberner was regarded as a massive favorite, which might sound weird right now, but yeah, after how he dominated the qualies campaign, then that's how it seemed. And Zverev, of course, went on to have a pretty good rounder as well, eventually losing to Tsitsipas in the semifinals before Tsitsipas lost to Djokovic. Um, Roman Safiullin already waiting at the service line. He is eager to start playing again. He's eager to keep going because, of course, he is in some very good rhythm right here. First point also goes to Safiullin. So yeah, this is where he can sort of change um, the pattern that originated in Chengdu with him getting broken right away when he had a break and a set lead. Set and a break, I guess, is the better way to say it. But yeah, this is where he can change it, because back then in Chengdu, he actually did not consolidate. We'll see if he does this time. Oh, that's just amazing as well. I again thought that maybe just like Zverev in the last point of the previous game, maybe Safiullin didn't do enough with the forehand in order to get himself an easy volley. And honestly, he didn't. He had a tough situation at the net, but he just plays this wonderful, wonderful soft half volley to win the point. And I mean, this is just ridiculous what he's playing right now. Zverev is there with like a somewhat accidental, short angled forehand return, and Safiullin fully on the run just blasts it down the line. The guy is flying out there at the moment. It's not gonna be a love hold since Zverev gets a return in at his feet, but it's very likely that Safiullin already won this game anyway. But that's just ridiculous what the guy's playing today. We'll see if he can close out this game in like pretty easily. Yeah, I think he can. I mean, the serve was not called out. Oh, actually, it was. Now it's Safiullin challenging. Zverev wanted to challenge. Now it's Safiullin challenging. We'll see. I thought it might have landed in, but it's gonna be close. It's long if it's out. It's not wide. Oh, it's actually what is actually wide. No, then okay. Then I saw it a little different than the challenge. Anyway, really, that was the serve that I just saw on my screen. Maybe it's the low quality stream that sometimes can mislead you. Ah, yeah, no, okay. I saw it completely differently when when it was originally there. But anyway, Safiullin will not win. Will not win that point with an ace. However, it is going to be another challenge now. This time of a rally forehand, and Safiullin did make it. Layani was also showing that it went in. So he is the hero now. He is the guy who saw it good. And it's 6-3, 3-1 up, Roman Safiullin. Oh, there's a poll as well about beards. Okay, that's interesting. I have to I have to turn on YouTube then because I think it might include me or John or both of us actually. So I wonder if there are some photos. Is it possible to put photos in the community poll? I don't know. How do you check that? I guess here, community. Oh, who will shave their beard off first? Okay, it was 20 hours ago actually. It's interesting. I feel like my photo is not really from, not too recent. It's not the most recent rendition of my beard. I wonder who should I vote for because John told me on Wednesday that he was gonna shave, and well, he still hasn't. So, but at the same time, do I really think that I'm gonna shave today? Nah, it's too much to do. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna vote for John. I think people are actually voting for me. We'll see. Um, I feel like I'm close, but I'm not sort of close. Maybe tomorrow, actually. I don't know. Tomorrow is a Saturday. Eh, on Sunday it would be impossible to shave your beard. It's the holy day. It's when you should rest and watch. Uh, I don't want to use a vulgar phrase. Uh, a load, a load of tennis. Let's say that, and that's what I'm going to do, of course. 6-3, 3-1, 15 all, and then Zverev plays this backhand drop shot, which Safiullin tracks down and finds a sharp enough angle that Zverev cannot catch it. Another pretty good shot from Safiullin. I mean, nothing is beating that +1 forehand down the line from me, but for me, but um, that was still okay. Yeah, and of course, if Zverev loses this game, then that's where we would be probably already looking at like a well end of the match type of deal potentially. Safiullin 2 breaks up 4-1 on these courts with the way he's playing, but he's not gonna have two break points consecutively at least in this game since he misfires on that backhand down the line. Was not one of the best shots that he's hit all match for sure, but also because of this, how high his standard has been. Mm. Apparently, there's maybe I'm gonna talk about it after this point. There's a L'Equipe article about changes in the ATP calendar for a few years, for in like a few years from 2025, I think. Let me see this though, because it's one of the longest rallies of the match, if not the longest. And what the hell is this volley from Zverev? Safiullin, I thought with this backhand pass did not do enough at all, and Zverev makes the error. So that's really likely over if Safiullin wins the next point. So from 2025, they want to apparently eliminate 5 ATP 50s of the calendar. And there are also going to be some 500s. So they want to have a 500 in Doha. Uh, and they are buying off Newport, so Newport will get lost in traffic. Well, Newport has not been a strong ATP event, definitely not. But the venue, I guess, is really important for the sport, at least for the Americans. Hall of Fame, I think, is a very American concept, and sometimes we don't really get the importance of it. I most certainly don't. I do not care at all, like who is in the Hall of Fame and who's not. For the players, of course, the ones that get in, it's definitely a nice achievement, a nice sort of way of the sport, for expressing gratitude, I guess. Yeah, and that's just again really poor from Zverev. He tracked down this Safiullin volley and just placed it straight at him, but like not with enough pace to cause the Russian some issues. If he just played it cross court, he would have had the point. So it's 6-3, 4-1 up from Safiullin. And while this second set has been much worse from Zverev, I also again cannot really say anything, about this Safiullin performance that hasn't been more or less perfect. Dallas apparently is also supposed to be a 500, and also Munich, or yeah, Munich is going to team up with Lyon, and that's yeah, Thierry Assion and Joey Tsonga should be sort of leading it, and they also will eliminate Estoril and Mallorca. And most of these 500s are going to be twice, they're going to be two in the same week. So Doha, Rotterdam, Dallas, Rio, and Acapulco, Dubai. So that's a huge, by the way, February, like with six ATP 500s, really. And the exception of that is Hamburg, which actually is supposed to be before Roland Garros, a week before Roland Garros. Estoril John was there this year, right? So I know he enjoyed the event, so that's a bit of a shame. And Mallorca as well, the grass court 250 is going to be gone by 2025, apparently. I don't know. I mean, we have to see the full calendar, I think, to sort of judge things like that. Rybakina was brilliant on serve, and Saba had her usual servos in the bigger moments, and allowed Rybakina to break her so many times, says Jean. I did not, yeah, as I said, I didn't watch it, so thank you for this little summary. Oh, and you also read that L'Equipe article. Yeah, someone sent it over to me on a group chat in a second, like a second ago. That's how I saw it. But yeah, I'm gonna sort of refrain from judging this until I see the whole calendar. I didn't even know that the Premier League has its Hall of Fame, but yeah, that probably also tells you that no one cares about it really. I mean, as a player, I would want to get in the Hall of Fame, but sometimes when I see people on Twitter, like I don't know, for example, Ben Rothenberg, right? And that's not a dig at Ben, not really. At least not what I'm going to say right now. That sometimes I see him sort of asking like whether this guy is a Hall of Famer, or maybe who should get in the Hall of Fame, and I'm like, I don't really care. I mean, if I was like a fan of a certain player, most certainly would be like would want him to get that, just get that sort of honor. Why not? I mean, get a nice ceremony, right? Why not? But yeah, as like a more non-partisan observer, I definitely don't really care. Maybe all Slam winners should be there. That's an argument, I think. Some people say that it has to be a lot more. because then it sort of loses importance. But like, the slams are the most important thing there is. So maybe all slam winners should just be there. I guess I would like to see, like, maybe doubles guys recognized. I think on this year's ballot there's Daniel Nestor, for example. So I think if he doesn't get in, for example, that's something that tennis shouldn't work like this. I think, yeah, guys like Nestor, Paes, of the most recent doubles retirees. Obviously the Bryan brothers, like that. I would like them to be recognized, but that's like sort of another reason. Another great play from Safiullin, going to the net on the back of the slightly more spinny forehand than he usually goes for, and then just a good put away again. I honestly cannot really remember any put away volley that he made a mess of. He definitely lost a point at the net, but that was just a tough volley that was given to him by Zverev. But they're trading backhands cross now. Zverev has to slice it. Safiullin goes inside in with the forehand down the line, goes to the net, and this put away maybe wasn't that perfect, but it was good enough. Zverev had a lot of distance to cover. Zverev, I mean, to me also does not seem the freshest. I don't know if it's the conditions, if it's the 2 long weeks that he's had, but I would say it's yeah. There are definitely some moments when he seems to be, I don't know if struggling physically, but just, yeah, not at the maximum optimal top of his physical abilities. How's the volley gonna be from Zverev? That was pretty hilarious because Safiullin barely caught it, and for a while it seemed like it might actually fall back in. But it was a shot that he had zero control of and actually flies out. But yeah, I think that the volley is good enough for sure. Anyway, 6-5, 5-1. We'll see if there's any more to this match. If there's any more story, or is it going to be just a straight up hold for Safiullin in the next game, or maybe if Zverev is going to lose this game. And well, that's interesting as well. Safiullin barely catches this forehand return. He plays like a block return that falls just behind the net, and Zverev doesn't even start to run for it. I don't think it was because he's injured or something. I think he was just surprised with the shot. It happens a lot to me. I think just sort of maybe slightly accidental block returns that are so short, and then you never really run for it because you don't expect that, especially if your serve itself was pretty good. But now Zverev, I guess, is like not running for balls. Yeah, the backhand cross from Safiullin, he doesn't even attempt it. So, but it's really the last two games that he started doing it. So I think it also could be out of frustration, really. Good serve though, should get him to game point. Yeah, and 6-3, 5-2 would be the score at which Safiullin would get his first attempt to serve out the match if Zverev is going to win the next point. That's another just I mean, that's another return that Safiullin didn't really get a clean hit on, and it's this sharp angled backhand cross return winner. Uh, but yeah, that wasn't a clean hit at all. It just landed, you know, in such an uncomfortable spot. But another big serve from Zverev, so he'll have another game point. Yeah, I mean Safiullin is dominating that much of the ground with real intent here. Backhand cross court again, and it sets up the short ball inside out forehand winner. 31st winner of the match for Safiullin. And this time the serve isn't gonna bail Zverev out. It's gonna be the second delivery. So Safiullin looking for an opportunity here. Yeah, this time he just goes for way too much though. But I get it. It's been working for him this much. He wants to finish Sasha off before there's a possible comeback attempt. I don't think Zverev will produce a comeback attempt here, but I get why Safiullin wants to stay aggressive, stick to his guns, and not really play differently because yeah, he seems to be ailing a little bit. Half volley from Zverev, but Safiullin has to get this done. Yep. So back to deuce. The coach and the wife, I guess, a wife, a girlfriend, I don't know. Very, very pleased with what Safiullin is showing, and I can't blame them. I mean, this is literally one of the best matches he's played, I think. And that's the first match point as Zverev shanks his +1 forehand. And he also makes an error on the next +1 forehand. So that's done even before the 6-3 5 game. 6-3 6-1. Roman Safiullin dominates Sasha Zverev. The last two games, Zverev did look slightly off. I have to say that, but still, Safiullin absolutely flawless. I mean, there's really nothing you could have um, yeah, Sean says accidental returns are great. You just have to pretend you meant it. And Safiullin did. Like on both occasions, he said nothing. Right? He didn't indicate in any way that this wasn't really the how he wanted to play it. But yeah, you're right. He did earn it. I mean, he did mean it for sure. He pretended. I mean, he definitely pretended that he meant it. Yeah, Zverev has checked out at the end. Zverev checked out at the end for sure. I have to say, but still, that was my vote, John. I think that did the movement. But yeah, that was an awesome performance from Safiullin anyway. So I think we have to give him credit, even if Zverev looked a bit off at the end. That's just, I mean, some of the points that Safiullin played, you could see that he is like in total control and also in he's just so confident that he's just gonna go for everything right now and hope that he will make it. And most of the time, he actually did, right? So yeah, that's gonna be it for today, I guess. A lot shorter than I thought this match was gonna be, and also if this match was going to be 1 hour something, 1 hour 15 or something around that time, I thought that it was probably gonna be Zverev winning, right? But it is Safiullin, and Gene says that he is the top 20 player on the fast court. Maybe. Could be thereabouts. Wimbledon, Shanghai. We'll see how he handles Shelton, but that's one of the most exciting. That's one of the most exciting third rounds for me, honestly. Maybe mostly because I remember their Chicago final from last year, but yeah, I really want to see it for sure. And yeah, thank you guys Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Roman Safiullin for delivering such a beautiful performance, and also to yeah, that's the cue, I guess, for the producer to finish it off. Thanks again.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. There are with the mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports, that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty, okay? And you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly you're 5-all and it's tight again, and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think the best players in the world just use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them.
Yeah.
So, for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know whether that what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah.
And first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players, the other thing is, match point, make the person play. Don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's another school of thought. But I think deep down, players get to a place where they have an instinct. And I think, I say this over and over again, the best players in the world are the most relaxed and the bravest. Because in those moments, when their instinct is telling them something, they are brave enough to follow it. And which is why, and again, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but I do think it starts to push the odds more in your favor. I'll just say one other thing is, I don't know if anybody's ever been go-karting or any kind of motor racing or watches motor racing, but when a driver gets in the groove, they lap like within 0.1 of a second every lap, like in this unbelievable groove. But if they lose that groove, when they're in that groove, it seems so easy. Just do it, right? No hassle. But if they lose that groove, if they go a little too fast, then they slide out of a corner, they lose time. If they go a little too slow, then that's not effective. And the margins are so small to stay on that groove. And for players as well, when you go into something like the French Open or any tournament, but especially the big ones, you hope that you can get through that first match and find a groove. And if you get in that groove, then that gives you your best chances of winning, because then most stuff is happening automatically, which is the most effective. Everybody has a problem when they start to think on the court, and automatic is fastest and easiest because you know how to do things. And it's not like you don't register. I say when you're playing very well, you are aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. When you start to think, your thoughts start to distract you. And that's very difficult to manage. And if you can learn how to manage that and get yourself back in the groove a little faster than other players, that's obviously, helps with ranking and why certain players, are more consistent than others, because they tend to manage that better. I hope that makes sense anyway.
It does. It definitely does. The mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, You've been to the French Open final. Your breakthrough, at least standout result at the beginning of your career was on grass against Venus. You've been very solid on the hard courts. Is there a slam in particular that you go, I think that's, if I'm going to get one, the first one might come here, there, or where?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone, I'm like, I think this is the first one. So I don't know. I mean, obviously now going to the French, I do have a lot of confidence on the surface. But I'm not really thinking about that. I feel like, in the past I was, and it gave me some like defeats that I feel like I shouldn't have lost, maybe more so my head. So going in now, I mean, I feel like, everyone could be the one, but I think I have to just take it a match at a time and just feel it out and enjoy it. I think when you focus too much on the destination, you don't enjoy the journey there. So now I want to focus more on the journey, and if the destination gets there, that's great.
Thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks, including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered. Whether that be via our website, talking-tennis.com, where you can read features and interviews from our top writers. Or if you prefer us in audio form, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember, we offer you wall-to-wall coverage via our regular watch-alongs, magazine shows such as Nick's WTA Weekly or Damien and Mario's ATP version. Plus, we deliver top content from people on the ground, actually at the tournaments, so you get even nearer to the action. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all things tennis. There were some Australian Open final vibes for me today, and I was looking at a couple of comparisons. Australia was 2 hours 28 minutes, today was 2:26. I'm sure you weren't aware of that. But I tell you, 4 championship points, does that sound familiar? And were you thinking of it during that last game?
Actually, yes, I was thinking when I was down with the break in the last game, I was thinking, okay, I did it at the Australia Open, so probably I'll be able to get this win this time again, and it's actually helped me to stay focused and to have this belief in myself. And yeah, definitely this match reminds a lot of Australia Open match.
Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, is not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, is not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, is not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, is not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, is not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2000.
If there's one match from Rafa's story where you think that was a missed opportunity, there was a big chance.
We have matches,
2
or 3 in Australian Open. No more. We lose the opportunity in Wimbledon against Djokovic in semi-final.
2018.
Then we lose the opportunity, more important because that was semi-final. We lose the opportunity in Australian Open. In the Australian Open 2014, 2015, 2012 and 2017.
Yeah.
In 14 because he has an injury against Wawrinka that before he had never lose against him. Then with Djokovic and Federer, he had breakup in the fifth.
Yeah.
And 40-30 or 30-50, I
Yeah.
don't remember well. It was a ball very close, goes up. But this is what happened. There was in Roland Garros 2009. Of course, he I am sure that he won. He will win. He won this tournament when he has no problems in his knee, because at this moment he was the best. He won Australian Open, then he won the tournaments on clay, and he arrived with problems in Roland Garros. For this reason, in my opinion, he loses. But there are others time that maybe he has to lose and he won.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.